Welcome back to the Founder on Flights podcast. Today I'm talking with a couple that Jason and I met at the beginning of our backpacking journey, so I can't wait to get into this conversation and introduce you guys. Jenny and Kevin from Baila Travel on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Long time no see.
I know, we were just saying it's been like, what, four years now, which is crazy.
4 years.
Which, by the way, congrats to you guys on 5 years of traveling now, right? You started in 2021. It's a big
5 years of traveling full time.
That's wild. So can you kind of on that note, give us a little bit of a background on how you got started in this? What inspired you to start traveling and start this journey?
Oh my gosh, the idea to travel, or at first it wasn't really an idea to travel. It started off actually as something bigger, and then we backscaled, and then it changed. So it started as the idea to move out of the US. I had studied abroad in college. Kevin visited me while I was abroad, and we both developed this passion for travel, but also the taste for wanting to experience living in another country as well. So before the pandemic, we had discussed possibly moving temporarily to Spain or to Brazil or somewhere else in Latin America. And so we started paying off debt, we started saving. And when the pandemic hit, that really made us shift gears quite a bit. And we decided to move to Mexico instead. And our move then morphed into a slow travel type of experience that led us to stay for a couple of months to a few weeks everywhere we went. That first year, mostly with family, because we both have family all over Mexico. And we spent a lot of time focusing on strengthening our connection to our heritage, our Mexican heritage. We are dual citizens, so that meant a lot to us. And along the way, during traveling, the goal, at least for the first year, was let's see as much of Mexico as we can and figure out where we want to make home. We had ruled out the other countries during the pandemic and decided that we wanted to find a home in Mexico. So slow traveling was going to be the way we did that. However, even after we decided where home was going to be, we said, okay, this is going to be home, but we are really enjoying traveling. So let's keep doing that. And then we ventured out into South America. And then the whole of 2025, we spent that in Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, Chile. And so we've been traveling since, and we find ourselves in the Dominican Republic now.
I think it's crazy. That's a really relatable story of like people who start traveling. It starts as like, I'm just gonna do this, and then you're like, oh, well, now I'm in this random country that I never even like considered, and this is where it brought us.
Yeah, it started off as one thing, and it kept evolving, and we just kept going. I didn't never imagine that we'd be going on like this 5 years later.
What was the like transition from you being in Mexico and that kind of being the plan? What was the thing that you think triggered you being like, okay, wait, no, we actually want to keep going? That moment where you decided you weren't ready to settle down, what do you think it was that triggered that?
I think a big part of that was that we took an opportunity to live in Mexico City. Jenny got an opportunity to get a job there, and we tried it. And unfortunately, it didn't work out as the way that we wanted to.
At least not in Mexico City.
At least not in Mexico City. So we were in Mexico City for about 1.5 years with the lease. And after that, we're like, I think it's time to try something else outside of Mexico City. So being in one city for 1.5 years and going on small little trips was nice, but then it like sparked the curiosity to give the opportunity to go back to South America. So we decided to take this long venture, and it kind of just kept going and going and going. And yeah, this is where we're at now, because I think if we would have kept traveling throughout Mexico, I think we still to this day probably would have kept learning and exploring other places in Mexico, because Mexico is so diverse. The food everywhere is different and so delicious. But yeah, we ventured out to South America, and we're like, let's see how far south we can go.
We had traveled to Colombia before, right before COVID became a big deal. We had started hearing about it, but we had this vacation planned. It was early March 2020, and we went on vacation. When we arrived to Colombia, there was still no COVID cases there, but while we were there, the first case arrived to the country, and then suddenly borders were closing and we were panicking and we thought we were going to get stuck. So I think the first thought of, oh my gosh, we might get stuck in Colombia, what became a reality during that time. And then I thought, you know what, I wouldn't actually mind getting stuck here. I really like it here. And so I think that's what led me to want to return willingly, not just being forcibly stuck there. I thought, hey, I actually did like the idea of being stuck here. I would like to return for an extended period of time. So when we left Mexico City, the first place we went outside of Mexico was Colombia. And of all places, I mean, we've enjoyed Cartagena, Medellin, but we've enjoyed Cali the most because it's the salsa capital of the world. And as you might be able to tell by the name of our YouTube channel, we love to dance. Like, dancing is a big part of who we are and our lives.
And does that have to do, well, I know the answer, but can you share how dancing kind of like integrates into your travel and the business side of things? Because I know those are like super intertwined with the way that you're doing things. How does dancing fit into all of that salsa?
Yeah, it's food, dancing, and culture. Those are the top three, I guess, drivers of both our personal interests and our channel content. And we realized that a lot of other people also enjoy these things. So when we decided to venture with the channel and make a business out of that, we made these three things, food, dancing, and I say culture instead of travel because travel can be such an umbrella term. But those are the three things that we realized, like, these are the things that not only we love, but other people love, and we can make content and hopefully generate a business out of this. So we look for the best eats. Wherever we go, salsa is an international community. So you will go to like the most rural corner of Vietnam, maybe not the most rural corner, but at least the major cities in maybe the more less expected countries that you don't think you'll find salsa. We've found salsa in Vietnam, in Thailand, and of course South America. So everywhere, all of Europe, everywhere we go, we find a Latin dance community, salsa, bachata. So it's a beautiful way to connect with people no matter where you go.
I love that that's I guess a thing that you've discovered, because that's not something that anybody would expect, but I think that is so important on so many levels. Like, I mean, just mental health, community, like intimacy, culture in general is such an important way to experience things. How did the YouTube side of things take off? So when you first went to Mexico to kind of maybe settle down, when did YouTube become a part of that story?
So a little bit before we started our trip to Mexico, we were kind of taking 1 to 2 trips abroad
per year while we were based in Chicago.
So that's how we got to go to South America, Europe, Asia, and a lot of our friends and colleagues were encouraging us to open up a YouTube channel. They're like, man, you guys love to, eat and dance. You guys always have amazing pictures and
You're
videos.
Always traveling, and
so they really encouraged us to try it out. We started off with an Instagram account, and then once we got closer to actually making the leap to leaving to Mexico, we're like, okay, let's try this. Let's, like 3 months before, let's start practicing. Let's start filming. We'll start with our city in Chicago. There's so much to vlog and to like show here in Chicago. So we started with Chicago, and then we started using some of our older trips. And then it got to the point where I had to leave my job. I had to resign, which was really difficult for me. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to focus 100% to this YouTube channel while Jenny maintain her remote job.
Yeah, thanks to one of the positive things that came out of the pandemic, I was able to continue my university job at least for the first year while we were traveling. So I maintained my regular salary while we were traveling that first year. But we had saved up. Neither one of us were expecting that we'd have any real income
Right.
while traveling. So we had paid off debt, saved up, and we were ready to go. But the remote work became a common thing because of the pandemic, and I was able to continue doing that. But Kevin's job, like he said, it was like a physical presence requirement, so he did have to leave. And we're like, well, I'll continue making the real money, at least for now, because YouTube at the very beginning makes nothing, and it takes a long time to make anything.
Yeah.
So Kevin started with that, and our content in the early days was also very much focused on our journey, connecting to our Mexican heritage and taking the opportunity to learn and share things that we wish we had learned about our heritage culture, like stories, history, food,
music.
Yeah, a lot of things that
Urban legends.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, and we just prepared ourselves really nicely financially in order to take the trip, because
you never know.
YouTube is expensive. It's a tough gig to take on. But yeah, we just kind of started it, and then after that we went with it. Like, let's put our energy into this. We had some really cool ideas.
Like, if this hits and it makes money, that will be great. And if it doesn't, well, at least our memories will be up online for us to look back on.
Yeah, it's kind of a win-win there. How long did it take before it started completely taking off? And I assume right at some point it took over you needing to have the remote job, yeah?
I wish that were fully true, but it's a little more complicated than that. I think it took us about 8 months to get monetized. Some people get monetized way sooner, some take much longer. Like, it's really different for everyone. It took us 8 months to reach the 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers requirements to start monetizing. And I could never say that YouTube ever made it to the point that it could sustain us financially fully. We've always had to at least hold down, one of us held down one sort of remote job. So when my job, after that first year, they said, okay, remote work is ending. We now have a return to office policy back up. And I chose to resign at that point because I was not returning to Chicago. I said, nope, I'm gonna be at least in Mexico or South. So from there, we decided to put more effort into YouTube. There were a few months where we were both unemployed, and so we were focused on YouTube. We were volunteering at hostels, teaching dance classes, teaching English, just being really creative.
Which is when we met you, actually.
Yeah, I think we met you when we were.
I was gonna say, we've been to those dance classes. Yeah.
Okay. So from there, Kevin got with a remote job opportunity, and so that kind of took the pressure off to where, okay, we can focus on making contents that we enjoy versus feeling the pressure of having to make content for money. And that really, I think, allows us to make contents that we're proud of, contents that matters to us. So that makes the business more of a passion project than the need for income. And I think it's a real privilege to be able to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially for something that's so creative. Oftentimes there's a lot of digital nomads who have like a service job and that's their business, and it's like they enjoy, I'm one of them. It's not like oh my gosh, I was born to be doing this, but it's like, yeah, I enjoy this, and it's a means to an end. But when you have something that's so creative, then it's like you can't force that, because then it defeats the whole purpose, and then it's not even gonna work. So being able to have that off balance or balance it, or whatever the saying is, then you can really put more into it, and then it's like gonna end up better anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when
you put so much effort and love into a video, and like the algorithm, or for whatever case,
or if it doesn't perform well, and you go, well, you know what, at first we would be really disappointed if something didn't perform well, but then we would be reminded, no, we did this with love and passion, and we're proud of what we put out, and it's okay that it didn't get like a million views. That's okay.
Yeah. How did your guys' families feel or react to you deciding to go down this path in life?
I think it was definitely, it wasn't a complete shock to them because they knew we like to travel, but I think they expected it to be temporary. Even when we told them we were moving to Mexico,
They're like, they'll come back.
they said, oh, they'll be back
They're just
eventually.
going on a long vacation and they'll be back.
Yeah.
But I think once they realized, like, oh no, they're really living out there and they're actually trying to make a life out there. Once I think the reality hit for our families, then they started to ask questions about safety and health insurance and taxes and things like we didn't even know the answers to yet.
It's funny, it's like the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Now they started asking us and being curious about it because
The Mexico, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
Mexico, they knew our parents when they left in the 70s, 80s, is much different than what it is today. So at first, there was a lot of fear too. Like at first, they didn't really believe us, and then there was some fear, and then it turned into curiosity.
right. Yeah.
Is that what you were gonna say? Okay, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, in a very different way, I relate to that just with us traveling in general. Honestly, both of our families, Jason's family being from Peru and they left in the 90s, it also was very much like, okay, but like, what are you doing and where are you and why and all of these things. And it's very different than I think people just imagine with what they hear or what they see online or whatever it is. And it's like, not even close to the truth a lot of the times. So
Right. And then also I think, I don't know if the right word is helps, but I think it also is a reference point to when you grew up in the southwest side of Chicago, where it's not particularly the safest, not the most dangerous, but also not the safest for kids to grow up in. It was a low income immigrant neighborhoods with lots of like gang violence, high rates of teen pregnancy, like the fact that we even made it out of these things healthy and went on to college was a huge deal on its own, and chose to go on to this life of travel that I don't think our ancestors ever dreamed in their wildest dreams. Our parents, I think, were just happy to see us grow up and go to college and have degrees and jobs and things and, do the normal stuff. So once we chose to do this very different thing, I worried that they thought it was going to be insulting to all their work and sacrifice, but surprisingly, they've been very supportive. They let me know that we're happy and healthy, and at the end of the day, that's what they care about, and we appreciate them for that.
yeah. What do you think was like or maybe I imagine it was your family, what from your family in their support of you growing up, do you think supported you being able to make it out of there and being able to choose to live the life that you're living now? What was it, do you think, that kind of set you apart? This may be a deep one.
I think like for my family, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they left Mexico so young and made their own lives in the United States. And my dad was more of a choice that he made to go to the United States. He didn't necessarily need to go. While my mom was a little bit less of an option, but they still chose to make their lives there. And my mom always said, like, I made you so that you can make your own life, not so that you have to feel you have to support me or to have to take care of me. So go ahead and live your life. So I feel like from my parents, it was a little bit more open to that, to the fact that if I got the opportunity to make my life, then you should get the chance to do yours as well. And it did help that before we actually left to Mexico, we would take 2 to 3 trips a year because we would go to many places that they never imagined going to the point where it was like before we left, it was like, please be careful, take care of your phone, don't be taking your phone out, don't stay out too late. And that started fading with time, like it was like the other way around. Like now they went to Europe and they were asking us for tips and things like that.
Oh.
But I think they've been more inspired to travel outside of their usual
comfort
bubble of same places that they always go. Now they go to new places.
Yeah, and your mom as well.
Yeah, my mom has always been supportive of my goals, and even when she wasn't able to support me financially, which was really since college. Like I went on full rides and scholarships, completely. And when I told her I wanted to study abroad, she said, "Go, mija. I can't support you financially. I can't help you with that, but I approve of you going. Do everything that you want to do." So having her verbal approval was more than enough for me. I figured out the money and how to go there, but she's always been supportive of. She's never held me back, and I appreciate that from all of our
Yeah.
kids.
And now
I
that
think
been to different places, some of them have gotten to opportunity to visit us, or they visit us in certain places, and they understand a little bit more to see how we live. Like when we were at Dos Sodelia in Puerto Escondido, my parents were like, "This is amazing. I want to work here." Like,
Oh, I see why
I see why you're here. Like the beach is 5 minutes away, and like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Like
yeah.
alternative lifestyles. Like you don't have to just stick to the one life that you've come to know. There are other options out there, and it's good to explore them.
Yeah.
I think we've, started teaching them things like that. Like we've learned a lot from our parents, and now we get to show them these things too. So it's pretty cool.
I love that is like the way of, I don't know, of life, I guess, and specifically in this kind of lifestyle. I see that too with my parents, and seeing that switch. I've wanted to travel since I was little, and it was the same thing. My parents have always been supportive of it, and now I'm like, I'm living in Mexico, and I'm like showing them, and again, their idea of things is so different, but I'm like, no, look, like I'm doing these things that are so like normal in your eyes. It's not unnormal, or it's not that far different than being here. So it's cool to see the that growth, I guess, happen in your
really
parents' side of things.
And now my parents are somewhat retired, you could say. So now when we're in a new country, they're like, "How long are you gonna be there?"
Maybe we'll come visit you.
Come visit you. They came to
I love that.
Loved it. They almost came to Brazil.
And now they're talking about coming to visit us here.
Dominican Republic. So.
Oh, that's so fun.
So that's changed a little bit. And we've definitely opened their thoughts or their mentality on what travel is like and how to live somewhere else, which is really nice, actually.
Yeah. In this whole journey of, like you said, you started off kind of just exploring your roots, and then it grew from there. What was a moment that you had maybe a hard realization about that, like learning about yourself and your ancestors and whatever it was that you didn't expect, a hard realization from that you didn't really expect to have to confront?
I think for me, I feel like we should have expected this, but it was still a bit of a shock when it started to happen. And it was the negative comments on YouTube from people telling us who we are or who we aren't, maybe. We got a lot of support from a lot of wonderful people, a lot of Mexicans, especially, saying, like, I think it's beautiful that you want to reconnect with your roots. Mexican parents who migrated to the US and had children born in the US, raising their children in the US, saying, I wish my kids had the desire to connect with their roots like you, or had these experiences like you. And a lot of it, we were wanting to share these experiences for other people like us. But then when we started getting comments from some people, and it's usually a minority, but they're a loud minority sometimes, people who say, you're not Mexican, you're just a pocho or a pocha, which is like a derogatory way to call next generation, a US born generation of Mexican immigrants, who maybe doesn't speak the Spanish language as perfectly, or doesn't know everything about Mexican culture as perfectly. Because when you grow up across the border, of course, there are going to be things that you don't get. So when that started showing up, it started I tried not to feel bad about it because I always know that there are going to be people out there with their opinions, and my journey is my journey, no matter what they say. But then there are also people who complained about us speaking English because they could tell that we do and can speak Spanish pretty well. It's not that, and so then they made claims that we speak English because we appeal to our Americanness or U.S. culture, or
because we feel like we're superior to, or
or because we try to assimilate ourselves to white gringos, in their words. So it got kind of complex. It brought out a lot of complex identity issues, not necessarily in ourselves, but I could see how it was triggering other people who felt the need to tell others who they get to be. So I found that to be very fascinating, and it definitely made me reflect a lot on who gets to reclaim their ancestry, who gets to explore their heritage, and what's a way to do it respectfully, and how do we do it in a way that's going to lead to strengthening these connections versus alienating people, because I could sometimes feel like people felt alienated because we did our videos in English. But then we started to try to do something bilingual, and we thought we were maybe confusing the algorithm. So we throw in bilingual, isms into our videos every now and then, but the videos remain primarily in English, just for consistency's sake. But it's definitely been a journey navigating the identity part and the negative comments from some people online who try to make claims about who we are or who we aren't.
We try to stick to or remind ourselves that we're doing this not just for us, but for also other Mexican Americans, other Latinos that also want to learn and didn't get the chance to learn Spanish in the US or etc. and want to reconnect with their roots, to kind of encourage them to give an opportunity to reconnect with their roots. And it's been nice. We've met so many amazing people like y'all who have really enjoyed the kind of content that we create in English, which helps. So it's been nice. But I think that has been the biggest challenge of all, because we've wondered, should we stop making videos in English? Should we open up a new channel? Should we change our whole strategy? And it's
we came to the conclusion that we should just stop trying to please everyone, because you're never going to please everyone, and just keep doing what we're passionate about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine that's an endless journey of identity, and is always evolving just as we evolve as people in a society. What kind of things have you tried or decided or realized that help to, like you were saying, bring unity versus division amongst your audience? Has there been anything that you've tried to really and seen it work or not work, or what has that been like?
There was that we've tried, I can think of two instances. One where we invited other Mexican American Chicano and individuals for a conversation, and we posted up a video talking about identity and what it's like to be Mexican and US American, and what it's like to have varying levels of fluidity in Spanish and growing up with close or far from your heritage. So we try to put out those kinds of perspectives out there. We only did one video like that, and it did okay. I don't think it got
that video too.
We did some collaborations with a Mexican YouTuber, La Karencita, who she is Mexican, born and raised, lives in Mexico, and she also makes her videos in English. So she and us share some similar challenges. And another one was about a controversy with a young Mexican music band called Yaritza y su Esencia. They're actually from the state of Washington. They're, I think, born and raised, but their parents are from Mexico. And there was a controversy that we chose to talk about in one of our videos. And we were wanting to offer a more empathetic perspective because they got a lot of hate online for some comments that they made in an interview where the interviewer asked them how they were liking Mexico City. And their response was, oh, it's pretty noisy. It's, you know, I'm not getting a lot of sleep. And another person said, I have a sensitive stomach, so some of the food made me sick. Well, what do you like to eat? Oh, I like to eat chicken. So Mexican social media burned them to the ground.
Pretty much canceled them
For those comments saying like, wow, you've got el nopal en la frente, you've got the cactus on your face, and you are saying you don't like Mexico City, then don't come here, don't try to make Mexican music, go and eat your chicken. Like they got so much hate, like it got blown out of proportion. So we wanted to contribute to the conversation and offer a more empathetic, compassionate perspective. And that video, while we were hoping it would bridge some of, you know, those gaps, it did not. It absolutely did not. We got, so, you know, some people were supportive and agreed with our point of view, but a lot of people tried to throw us in the fire along with these poor kids, and it was just a mess. Like it got a lot of support but also a lot of hate comments, and I was like, wow, people are just really, you know, got, what is it, Twitter fingers, or just angry. Oh gosh, that was an interesting one. So that one didn't work out so well, but I was glad that we did it because not many people were, and I wanted to say things that I felt more people needed to say.
Sure. I see that from your guys' content in a lot of different ways, that you aren't just putting things out there to put it out there. You can tell that there's a lot of intention behind the meaning of, like, you know, explaining, like you said, the folklores and the culture, and then things like this. Like you can see it very clearly that there's a lot of intention and like deep thought behind everything that you're creating, and it's not just another piece of content. And no matter the response, I think that it's all an important part of the conversation, and in general, just a good perspective. And social media can be a scary place, so it's brave.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because sometimes we go in circles wondering if we're doing the right thing, and positive feedback is always really motivating. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course. I think just from the little bit that I've seen also of like the comments and stuff, I think that that's a big driving force of like where, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but like what draws people to be following you a lot of the time is because it's like you put care and effort into that, and it's like that makes me want to keep watching because I feel like I know you. I was just saying before we got on here too, I was like, yeah, it's been a while, but I just feel like we've known you forever, and actually it was only like a few weeks, but it feels like so much more than that.
No, when you said we haven't seen each other in person in 4 years, I'm like, what do you mean? That was like 4 years.
Like last year.
Yeah, it could have been last year.
Literally. No, but I think that it has a lot to do with the way that you guys just kind of present yourself in general.
Oh, thank you.
To kind of shift the topic a little bit, I know a big piece of traveling and running a business in general, people are always wondering, at least for me, I imagine for you too, how do you do it? What are you getting paid? How are you affording these things? People, for me, always think that, like, I don't know, Instagram is paying me or something, which, like, I don't have hardly any followers on Instagram. I'm not, you know, there's a lot of different ways to make it happen. So how has the journey of finances been for you over the last however many years?
Oh yeah, no, it's really varied from year to year. I wish I could tell you it's been consistent growth and we are now making way more money than when we started. But no, it's been lots of ups and downs. Like I said, it took 8 months to make the first penny. And the first few months, it was like a couple $100, which was like a huge deal. And then in the second year, we started doing collaborations with brands, and we then got to do collaborations with travel and leisure company.
That was our third year.
That was our third year? Okay.
Yeah. As a summit so far.
I think that was
it is.
probably our third year was probably the biggest year because of those contracts with travel and leisure. But then they had to make cuts. They had to let go of the person that was reaching out to us to hand out or give us contracts. And once that went away, I'll admit that we haven't done a great job of seeking out brand deals. When they come to us, if we feel like they're a good fit, we'll do them. I also don't want to flood our content with a lot of
Sponsorship.
Ads and things like that in our videos. When we feel they're appropriate, we'll do them. But we really haven't done many. And so I think the year we did the most was the third year. And I think that year we made, $14,000 that year, which it can be a lot or a little depending on who you are. And I will say it's not a lot. It's not enough to sustain a lifestyle of travel, but it definitely helped pay for a lot of these experiences, which is already a huge deal in itself, especially when at least one of us has a job. That's why always one of us has a job, because it's not going to pay all the bills and it's not going to keep us going, or at least it hasn't.
And like we said, it's also to remove the stress and make content that we really want to make. Because we've noticed that when we try to force content, like our health declines significantly.
Yeah.
Being able to have a remote job is what has filled that void. And when we do make content now, which we've been a little lazy on it, not lazy, but we needed a little break from it because it's just so exhausting to keep pushing out content and making out great content.
I think in the last 6 months, we put out 2 or 3 videos at the most, and our YouTube revenue is sitting at around $200 a month right now, and it's really just our older videos that are keeping us going because we haven't been posting. But I think the best month we had in that third or fourth year was $900 to $1,000 that month. I know other content creators who started around the same time as us who were much more prolific with their production were over $2,000, $3,000 a month. Amazing for them. And I would have loved to reach that level. Then I think we could have considered doing just devoting our full time to this. But for different reasons, including health reasons, we don't crank out as many videos as we would like to because we spend more time on our health lately, and thanks to improvements in that realm, in the health realm, we are hoping to come back more regularly in 2026 in March.
So do you feel like you guys stick to a strict budget because of the inconsistency, or are you kind of just winging it depending on the fluctuations and making it work? Or what does your average budget spending look like?
We adjust to where we are. Like when we're in Colombia, where the dollar stretches further and it's more affordable than Mexico even. So we will set budgets where we're able to put money towards our saving and other goals.
And other investments, like our retirement investments and things like that. So that comes in first, and then we budget out groceries, make the main necessities, and I go from there.
I don't remember what our numbers were when we were in Colombia, but I think it was we don't budget ourselves. We don't have to budget ourselves too tightly, thanks to the fact that one of us has a remote job and consistent salary. But because we were able to save in Colombia, that offset the huge spending that we had made just made in Brazil, Argentina, and Chile, which were very expensive long-term stays. So now that we've offset that, we're finding ourselves in the Dominican Republic, where we're somewhere where it's more expensive to live, and so now we have to readjust our budget expectations. We haven't quite decided what the budget is here, but thankfully we're not having to limit ourselves too much, because if it wasn't for Kevin having a consistent salary, then it wouldn't be possible.
Right. And what is your remote job right now, Kathy?
Pretty much a project manager for an outdoor living space company. So,
Oh, and how do you, when you guys are, because I know sometimes it's one or the other, when you guys are getting these jobs, how do you find that? Is that just through online, or do you find it like through connections, or how does that work?
I wish I had a real strategy to share because I've gotten this question before, but this one really just fell in our lap. It was a friend was
a friend of mine that moved from Chicago to like the countryside of Kentucky found a remote job, and he's like, "Hey, you should apply with me." And we both applied. We both got the job, and
Yeah,
I've been there a significant amount of time, and he
yeah.
kind of moved on. But
Was-
Jenny recently has also been doing some remote work by teaching English, and that's been more word of mouth and just little
Yeah.
little things. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
just if we seek more of it, I think we could find more of it, but we haven't.
So we aren't able to give any real advice on that. I really wish I could because the world should have more of these opportunities available, but I feel like after the pandemic died down, a lot of these opportunities started to go away.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely know people who have like tried to find it and met with that resistance. And I've also seen a lot of the times when you're just full force dedicated and you're like, I'm just gonna go and figure it out. You find a way to figure it out. And so it's like it just kind of depends on what kind of experience I think you want to have and what level of dedicated you want to be to it sometimes, because it can be hard, but also depends where you're at too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if it's not going to be pure dumb luck, then you have to create your own luck, and that's where entrepreneurship is, I think, the next best strategy to try to operate some sort of online business.
Yeah. So you guys have been traveling for 5 years. How long have you been together and married?
Haha. People often say, "Oh, your boyfriend's over there, your girlfriend's over there," and I do not correct them. But we have been married 8 years, together for 11,
12 of them.
almost together for 12, almost 12 years.
Wow.
I was 23 and he was 30 when we got married, so we were 6.5 years apart. And when I was in college, Kevin came to meet me up as my friend during one of my study abroad semesters in Spain, and we did some traveling, backpacking, and we've been together ever since.
And that was
That was
12 years ago.
2014.
May of 2014.
Yeah, it's 12 years, almost 12 years ago.
Wow. Aw. So you guys started your relationship essentially with travel kind of at the heart of
Yeah.
that. So it's
It's the best
been,
way to meet somebody.
Oh, if you want to
Really-
get to know someone fast, travel with them because you'll be very close, very fast. I knew for sure either this is going to end very badly or we're just going to be together forever. 'Cause
it's the perfect test.
how do you recover from this?
Yeah.
And I thought after a backpacking trip in Europe, we're going to return to the US and back to reality. It's not going to work because
The honeymoon's over.
the honeymoon's going to be over. But no, I can definitely confirm that 8 years later, 12 years later, sorry, the honeymoon is going strong. We're still best friends, travel partners, dance partners.
Business partners.
That.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are living together, traveling together, and then also, yeah, doing business together. So what does that balance look like when it comes to kind of, not only are you balancing two different lifestyles and having to like manage all of that, but on top of that, you need to take care of your relationship and like have those conversations and those like special moments or space apart. What is that? Has that journey changed since you started versus now, and how has that kind of evolved?
Yeah, I think it definitely looks a lot different from when it started, because when I had a full-time job, then there was less time for like the self-care, the relationship care. Now that Kevin works a full-time job, and I am a stay-at-home digital nomad wife. I couldn't just coin that term. I'm gonna patent that. I am happy to do more of the housekeeping and the cooking and it's going to sound like the traditional gender roles, but there was a time where I was the one working and Kevin was not, and he was the stay-at-home digital nomad husband. So we just reverse roles as we see fit, and we adjust. And I think that's what's kept us going strong as a relationship, as whatever is needed, and whoever can do it, does it. So if he's the one holding down the remote job, making the salary, then I will do the shopping, I will do the cooking, and on weekends he'll do the shopping, he'll do the cooking, even though he worked all week and I did it the other. So we'll flip and flop. I think I also take more of the financial management role, more of like the administration type of role in our relationship and our business. I have the mental and bandwidth and the time to do that. So I manage.
And that's a job. That's a whole job.
It's a job in itself. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think having this dynamic where one has the secure job and the other one has the time and mental space to focus on other projects is where we're able to bring together. I can bring to him, hey, we need to talk about this and this. And that's how we come together as a team.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I don't know a whole lot of couples who do this. And so our dynamic is very similar to this, but I don't like have anyone else to really, it's like that's not as common. But I think that when you're right for each other, I think that it works, and I think being the business partnership really complements and reflects the life partnership in general too, just across the board, because I have been the one with the more consistent remote work. And so it'll be similar roles, but then we'll come together and be like, okay, so we're in a new place. How do we budget? And I think that that's really important to be able to adjust with that and with the changing influxes of income and jobs and responsibilities and all of the things. So when it comes to the self-care side of things, do you take time apart? Do you ever feel like, okay, I need me time versus it's always going to be us all the time? Have you always needed that? Have you always adjusted with that? Or how do you make that work?
I don't think we've ever needed time off from each other. It's crazy.
I love this question because at the very start of our relationship, even before we were a real relationship, we were friends and we were gonna go on that backpacking trip that started this whole relationship. I made it a point to tell Kevin, I'm used to having my own space, and if I need it, please don't be surprised. I just want to give you a heads up. And I really 100% expected that we'd be tired of each other after those 20 days that we spent traveling together. But we actually weren't. And I've never, ever felt like I need a break from him. On the contrary, when he has to make work trips to Texas.
Yeah, that's our only space.
That's the only time we have away from each other, because he has to go on these work trips and they pay for his flight, but obviously not for the spouse. Then I'll stay back wherever we are at the moment. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine. I could do this. I'm an independent woman. I don't, he doesn't need to be around. I go to bed that night and I go, wow, this bed is so lonely.
It's cold.
This is how you know you're best friends. It's like you genuinely miss each other's company, even though you're together all the time. So I think are pretty good at shifting, like, okay, we're in business mode, we are in work mode, or now we're in fun mode or social mode, and then now we're in J&K mode, which is our private relationship time. And I think that's why we chose to take so much time off of YouTube this year as well, to prioritize not only our personal health, but our relationship health. Not that it was going through anything before, but if I'm not physically or mentally well, or one of us isn't, then the relationship can get tense because it adds stress to the household.
we find like little ways to organize ourselves and change the dynamic of our relationship through like technology. So, for example, this is really small, but when we iMessage each other, that's business related with the iPhone. And when we talk to each other via WhatsApp, it's relationship, personal. So it's like these little things.
Yeah, I forgot we do that.
Or we
Yeah.
set like little calendar invites for business related things and etc. Like it's almost like expected, like there's a 10-hour work window. And within those 10 hours, we do my full-time remote job and we do YouTube stuff and whatever business things we do. And after that, it's
we still
kind of open to other things, but we do definitely do a lot of organizing.
I think that's like any business. There are some businesses who use Slack or Microsoft Teams, and we'll use our own apps. I mean, we use Google Calendar, but even something simple as separating your conversations via iPhone, iMessage for business related conversations, and WhatsApp for our personal conversations. Right. That way we don't get
mixed business.
We don't
personal relations.
It's not about mixing. It's just to feel organized, to feel compartmentalized. It makes executing our business tasks more seamless when we have our own reference chats to, okay, where did we leave off on X, or what did we last say about this thing?
Definitely. I think that's similar to like not bringing your phone in the bedroom or not eating in front of the TV. It's like for efficiency and for focus and just for pleasure in general, like not confusing your brain, I think is also just better for the nervous system. I love that. I feel like that's something that I would adopt too, because it does get just messy. It's like, let's not talk business at dinner type of thing. It's like focus on being in the moment. So I think that's a good one. I like that. What has been one travel/work experience that was shaking everything up, that made you question everything you're doing, and maybe it worked out because of this like bond that you have, that you're able to work together and you figured it out and everything was fine, but made you kind of feel like, what are we even doing?
Wow, go ahead. Huh?
Mexico City.
What do you mean? I don't have an answer. I mean, that is such a good question. I'm having trouble thinking of one specific time. Kevin was looking at me saying maybe it was Mexico City, and I guess that could be it.
I think that's it. Like we
never really expected to live in Mexico City because we were looking for something smaller, more of like a community feel. And we ended up in Mexico City because I was offered a job, what I thought was my dream job on paper. And it turned out to be the complete opposite, a total nightmare.
Jenny was like the perfect person for this job. Like she had worked her whole college career towards this. She was the poster child of this project. It was
to be the director of an international office for a US-based university in Mexico City, on the UNAM campus. But it turned out just to be very different from what I expected. And 3 months in, I no longer have this job, and we still have the rest of 9 months left on the lease, a very expensive lease that we were expecting to pay with my new very excellent salary that was suddenly gone, and no severance. So I went through this whole process of suing, eventually won, but it was a huge stress and really exacerbated my fibromyalgia and chronic pain and fatigue. So that was really, really rough. And I think that's the moment where we're like, what are we doing here? Why, but
why did we chase? Well, no.
To break the lease was going to cost a 3 months penalty, like 3 months rent penalty fee, which was like $1,000 a month rent. It would have cost $3,000 just to break the lease. So we decided to stay, ride it out, make the best of our time in Mexico City. And we really did. We started to enjoy ourselves more. But we did have many moments like, oh no, we went out and purchased all new furniture because we were so committed. We're like, this is where we're going to live. This is home. We bought a refrigerator, couch, bed, washer, dryer, TV, like all the furniture you need in a brand new apartment. we spent a lot of money investing in all of that, thinking that I was going to be like our very long-term home, and it ended up not being the case. So after the lease was up, we put that in storage and said, let's get away from here and figure life out for a while. We'll pay the storage for a bit until we figure things out. But we went to go figure things out in Colombia, and we found ourselves really, really enjoying life in Cali. And we started to ask ourselves again, what if we lived in Colombia instead? Like all this time, we've been working towards living in Mexico, and we really feel like ourselves in Cali. In Cali, in Colombia, nobody is saying, well, you're not really Mexican because X, or you're not really American because you're Mexican, whatever. Like it wasn't such as much of a focus for people as it has been in the US and Mexico. In Colombia, people just take us for who we are. They go, oh, you're Mexican and American, and that's cool. And we like you, and be our friends, and come dance with us. And so we've just felt really happy there. And now our idea is hopefully to find a way to live part-time in Cali, Colombia, and part-time in Mexico.
And where would you? Okay, I was gonna say, do you
Yeah.
guys still have, I know that you at one point had a piece of land, you still have that lot?
Yes.
Yes, it's still sitting there waiting for us to do something with it. And this is the year we've finally committed. We said it was going to be last year, but then we ended up the whole year in South America. But this year for sure, we're heading back in April and starting to, we already have the architectural the architecture drawings ready for it, and hoping to start building very soon.
Wow, that's so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's the easy part. I think the hard part is to come. But yeah, we're excited, and we feel like a lot of our content might be related towards
the build
The
and,
build.
and building a business there as well. So that's something that's going to be new. We're gonna keep the YouTube channel, of course, but then we're also going to figure out what our business is going to be in Mexico. That's still TBD. Exactly. We have some ideas, but we're either thinking like Airbnbs or cafe or a co-living or a food park plaza thing. Like there's so many possibilities. It's not a huge space, but it's big enough to do something pretty exciting and substantial with.
Yeah, we should chat some more later too, because we were close to doing something similar there too. I'd love to just talk about what that looks like.
I'd love to do that, I guess.
Do you guys still have the storage unit in Mexico City, or did you do away with
After a
that?
year of paying storage, we got lucky with a really good friend who was moving to Querétaro from California, and she was going to furnish everything from, starting all over. I was like, hey, don't start over, use my stuff. And so we shipped our stuff to her
Querétaro.
apartment in Querétaro, from Mexico City to Querétaro, and she's got a fridge, she's got a bed, a washer, a dryer, and we have a place to put our stuff. So it worked out.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
That's
Yes.
amazing. I love
I
that.
told her we'll probably eventually need those things, but not anytime soon, and we'll give her lots of advance notice. But we know our stuff's in good hands, and we're just really lucky that happened.
Yeah.
That worked out.
Yeah, it's like that's how you know that's what was meant to happen, when things just like perfectly work themselves out. Okay, so to kind of wrap things up, if you had to start over today, everything that you've created on YouTube and your plans and all of the things, everything that you've done to make this happen, what would be your main focus to make it work?
I think I would have done more research maybe, or looked for a YouTube mentor, so that we wouldn't have had to make so many of those early common mistakes and have taken longer to pick up. Like I think we had a lot of potential to take off, for the channel to take off sooner, but because we really took our time making our own mistakes and learning as we go, rather than following the research, doing more of the research and following the research, we as you know, our content is very passion focused, but if you really want something to take off as a business, you can't only think about what you want. You also have to think about what consumers are looking for. So how do we prioritize that more to begin with? And maybe whether that be with some sort of consulting or with a mentor, I think that would have helped us bring our success earlier on and continued growth, because now we're in a decline phase. But that the decline has been mostly because we prioritize other things like health right now.
Yeah.
But had we done more of the research and maybe consulting earlier on, I think we would have done better, or at least some sort of better prepared way to be better prepared, because we just kind of went into it not really knowing what we were doing. And it's normal,
Sure.
lots of people do that, but when you really want to take it seriously as a business, then that's what people should do. That's at least what I wish I would have done.
Do you think you guys would seek out like a mentorship now?
We definitely, yeah, we're still, I mean, just because we're a few years into this doesn't mean that we can't still learn from a mentor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have changed anything. I love all of it. I love everything we've done, all the mistakes that we've done. It's been cool. I think even now, maybe we could seek into getting a mentorship. We have had some consulting before, but we're kind of stubborn because we love to put out the content that we want to put out rather than seek a niche and just stick to that niche and kind of just, as much as it's like eat, Baila Travel, sometimes we find something very interesting culturally that we really just want to focus on. It doesn't necessarily have anything with eating or dancing. So that's that difficult part. I think in most cases, people have told us to structure it like that, like eat what you ate when you went to this place, what you dance, and then something that you learn, and then just move on to the next place. But
everywhere we go, the experiences are different.
Yeah,
they don't fit into our experiences don't fit into a template.
Yeah, and we love to like really dive deep into the culture and be at a place for a couple weeks, so we're not just giving some quick recommendations and move on to the next city. So I don't know. I've loved everything we've done, but maybe now that we're matured YouTubers, I think maybe it's time to do some consultation and take it a little bit more as a business rather than just kind of throw everything that we love out there, because we're going to be so focused on building in Puerto Escondido that it might be good to
have some real strategy for
yeah.
YouTube.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's always the right time to like hone in on something that you want to go far anyways. And as long as it's something that you are also putting yourselves into and still your personality and your passion and stuff, finding that balance is like the sweet spot for it. Okay, and then lastly, where are you guys now and what's your next move?
We're currently in República Dominicana in Las Terrenas, Dominican Republic. We'll be here for another 5 weeks. We're here to dance and dance a lot because we love bachata and
merengue.
This is the country of bachata, so we're gonna dive deep into the bachata.
We're also on our goal to train to teach. We've given some dance classes before in Puerto Escondido, but we really love and our goal now in the Dominican Republic is to level up our traditional bachata as well,
so that we can take it to our next destination, which is Puerto Escondido.
That's the next chapter.
That's the next chapter in like, 2 months? We'll be there in April.
Wow. I love that your goal for the next month or so is to dance. Like,
absolutely.
So we are here to dance.
What do you do for a living? I dance right now.
Don't ask me if I'm making money off of it, but that's what I'm doing.
For a living, right? Like to live. That's what that question is. Thank you so much for hopping on and opening up about your journey and the experiences that you've had. It's been really fun to catch up, and also I feel just grateful that like we met so long ago and we're able to kind of reconnect and see different versions of where you've been and what's been happening. And I also kind of love that it's coming full circle and you're going back to Puerto this year. So that worked out. But I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. This has been really fun, and you really helped us reflect on how far we've come. So that was really great, and where we're going next.
So yeah, thank you so much. Next time we got to interview you because I want to learn a lot about what you've been up to the last 4 years. But
yeah, we'll have to
giving us the opportunity to be on this podcast.
Of course. And if you guys want to follow Eat Baila Travel, we'll have their information in the description for Instagram and YouTube, and see where you end up next.
Yeah, I'd love to know who joined us on the channel from this podcast. So make sure to leave a comment and say hello.